How you guys doing? Mike, Pratt Family Homestead. Hey, today we are going to be emptying a little bit of the freezer out. We're going to can up some ground venison. Now, one reason we're canning this up is because I think pretty much everybody but me, but at least like half of the family finds this venison to be extremely gamey. This is a 8-point buck that I got just this past hunting season. And I have no problem with it, which is really weird because a lot of times I think I've been sensitive to venison being gamey before, but I'm not with this one, but quite a few people in the family are. So we've stopped using it for dinners and all that stuff, and now we're gonna can it up, empty out some freezer space, and I have a lot more to can up. I'm gonna make some chilies and some hamburger soups and stuff like that. We will end up with just plain unseasoned venison, ground venison. Jenny went ahead and bagged all this ground venison up in 2-pound bags. So we're gonna can it in pints, and that usually equals about 1 pound of meat per pint. Okay, so I got everything already set up. I got the canner out, it's cleaned. I got the utensils we're going to need, and I've got the jars out. So we're over here browning the meat because we're gonna be doing hot pack. I'm not seasoning this meat. We don't usually season much of the meat that we can, unless we're canning something specific like chili or something along those lines. Or we have canned ground beef before as taco meat. We have done that. We are just browning this. We're not, I hate to say we're cooking it, but we're just browning it so that it hopefully doesn't stick into a whole big clump in the jar. A lot of people will add liquids and stuff. I'm not planning on it, but I might add a little bit of beef broth if I feel like it's necessary, but I don't feel like it's going to be necessary. This ground venison did not have any fat added to it when we ground it, but so I am adding quite a bit of lard as I'm cooking it. It's not necessary. It's going to help with flavor and all that stuff, but it's not necessary to add it into your venison. Just trying to get it all evenly browned. But we have tons more in the freezer, so I'm probably gonna play with all kinds of different stuff. For today, it's about 10 pounds worth getting canned. That's done. Let's get on with this. Okay, let's get all this into all of those and get it into there and back over to there, and we can start canning. All right, each jar should hold roughly a pound, but we are going to get this filled up. And actually what I'm going to do is then take the juices after we're all done and divide these juices up evenly between all the jars. So well, we're not done yet. We're gonna pack this in here pretty good. And we're also going to attempt to get some air bubbles out and stuff. But again, with no liquid in here, we'll have to do that more so when we add more liquid. And more liquid will be created during the canning process. Now, we want to be careful not to overfill the jars because we want a 1-inch headspace, which we're getting close, but we're not there yet. And we're going to pack this in here pretty good. Packing it in already, I can tell it's creating its own liquid. It's kind of hard to tell, but you can see the liquid in there. So we can still get a little bit more in here. Oh, I'm liking this. This is going to be about right. And look, the liquid's in there. And there we go. 1-inch headspace. Good to go. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing for all these jars. I may end up having to get a couple extra jars out. We'll see. And I'm not going to have you sit here and just watch me fill jar after jar after jar. Although, I mean, I don't know. Somebody might like that. But I will come back when I have all these filled and the proper headspace on all of them, and we'll get the canner going. I try to keep the rim clean, but ultimately we're going to come back and clean that rim anyways. But the cleaner we can keep it now, the better. Okay, so our next step that we got to do is we got to take these jars, we got to make sure this rim is really clean around here so that these lids can stick, or seal I should say, not stick, so that they can seal. It's also important to try not to touch this rubber seal around here on these lids. It can cause it to not seal because of the oils and stuff that might be on your fingers. So what we do is we take some vinegar, get some vinegar on there, and we wipe these seals, or these rims. Now, when you're wiping the rims, you're also kind of feeling and also looking and checking for any chips. If there's some chips or some cracks in your rim here, it'll cause it not to seal, and that would not be good. Or even it could lead to a, we'll call it a false seal, where you think it's sealed, but it slowly lets air back in. We are going to be starting this canner cold, so I will add lids. And I thought there was a chip in this one, but it wasn't. It was just some fat right there that was on the seal, so I want to make sure I get that cleaned up really well. We are going to go ahead and put the lids on each one. Uh-oh, I'm short one. I should not be short one, but apparently I am. Did I get 2 onto 1? I did. I got 2 on that one. All right. Okay, and next we want to finger tight. Finger tight. It's just supposed to hold the lid on during canning and cooling. You're not cranking down, it's just finger tight. Now, finger tight can mean a couple different things to a couple different people. I'm told I may crank mine down a little too hard, but so be it. So a lot of recipes call for adding some salt to this also. That's totally up to taste. It has nothing to do with preserving it. It's to taste. So I didn't add salt. Next, we got to add a couple inches of water to this canner. You need to read your canner's instruction manual to see what it says to do. I honestly forget. We usually just add a couple inches. I can't remember exactly what this manual says. I think 1.5 inches, or 1 inch to 2 inches, or 1.5 inches to 2 inches. We usually do 2 inches or even a hair more. If you have hard water and you don't want your jars looking disgusting coming out, you can add a little vinegar too. It doesn't take much. In fact, that was probably more than needed. I have had some people also tell me that their water is super hard, and if they don't add vinegar, it can actually affect their seals. With a couple inches of water and some vinegar in there, we can start loading up jars. If you end up needing to stack jars, we'll have to get another rack to put over top. Although I've seen plenty of people not use a second rack, they just offset their jars, but we tend to use another rack, which I'm going to need another rack, so I will go get one. Video magic, there we go. And we will set the other ones in here. You do not have to have your jar sitting in water. All right, so you don't have to load this up on the counter. You could easily set it on the stove and then bring the jars over to it and load it up. Okay, so we are going to get the lid on, locks into place. I'm going to go ahead and turn this burner up on way high. We are on a glass top stove, as you can see. We've read our manufacturer's booklet, and it says that we can can on a glass stove no problem, or on this glass stove no problem. We have our 15-pound safety weight. This pressure canner is using the dial. All right, with our elevation here in Michigan, where we live, our elevation is 1,100 feet. According to the National Center for Home Preservation, according to the National Center of Home Food Preservation, I get that wrong all the time. I'll put it right there. We will be going for 75 minutes in these pints at 11 pounds pressure. So what we're doing is we're waiting for this thing to heat up. It's gonna start blowing steam out of here like crazy. And then we're gonna have to let that vent for 10 minutes. And then we'll put the weight on. And then all this safety deal will pop up and pressure will start rising. And once we are at least our 11 pounds of pressure, we can start our 75-minute timer. If it drops below 11 pounds, you have to get it back up to 11 or higher and start your time all over again. Fun. Yeah, don't let it drop. All right, we have been venting for 10 minutes now. You can see I don't know if the camera's picking it up, but there is steam shooting out of here. The safety vent's already popped up as well. So we are good to go ahead and put this weight on. You'll be able to hear this. Okay, we are there. We are past 11. I know my stove and my canner here. Oh, fogged up a bit. We are going to turn this baby down to about there and monitor it. Remember, if it drops below 11, we got to start all over. A lot of people stay in the kitchen while their canner's going. Oh, echo. Set timer, 75 minutes. You can't hear it, but she's responded. She's got it set for 75 minutes. I'm also making a mental note that it's 2:21 in case whatever. Actually, I'll go with the stove time. The stove also says 2:21. I was looking at the microwave. But I don't stay in the kitchen. I check on it frequently. But I usually got 12 other things going on. I can't just sit here in the kitchen for 75 minutes and watch a canner and babysit. I know a lot of people read books, do crossword puzzles, work on editing videos, which is actually something I could sit in the kitchen and do, is edit videos. But I'll come in and I'll check periodically on that pressure and make sure we're looking good. So I will see you guys in about 75 minutes.
My dad's being lazy and making me go check on the pressure canner. What it's at 12.
Okay. That has dropped. You might hear a vacuum going in the background. I'm really sorry about that. We got a household of 6 people and lots of cleaning always going on. But so that has dropped. We're going to remove our weight and we're going to let that sit there for 5-10 minutes before we remove the lid. Again, a lot of people carry 1 jar over at a time or whatever. This is not a big load, so I didn't mind carrying it. You might be uncomfortable carrying it. It is hot. I always try to open away from me like that. Oh yeah, look at this beautiful canned meat. And look how it sits there and bubbles. All right, so these jars are gonna sit here overnight. It's only 4:30 right now. They need to sit here for like at least 12 hours. So come sometime tomorrow, we'll get the lids put, or we'll get the rings taken off, and we'll get these washed up and labeled. I could watch these jars boil like this forever. It's just mesmerizing to me. It's awesome. TJ's basketball banquet / award / whatever, end of the season little, award ceremony or something going on tonight. So we gotta get going. All right, it's the next day. It's done. They've all sealed. Now all we have to do is get these washed, get the rings off, and go store them in the pantry. Oh, and label them. But that's it. They're done. And I can't remember if I said it or not before, but you'll see that there's some fat layered on top here. I did add some of our lard. I didn't add a ton though. Most of what you see in there is from the meat itself. It's not for me adding lard to it. Anyways, I just wanted to throw that note in there. So a little side note, it is sealed. It's down. I don't know if you can tell or not. And yesterday I had stated it didn't look like there was much siphoning going on, but these jars are pretty slimy. So we're actually going to wash them with soap and water and get them all cleaned up and get ready to label them and put them in the pantry. All right, I got one of the best labelers in the business labeling this for me. The one and only. She's hard to get a hold of, but I was able to reserve her time for this. We have Faith Pratt here, folks. Doing the labeling. Oh, that handwriting is beautiful. Do we even want to show them what mine would be like?
Why not? I mean, they can see why I did the labeling.
Oh, nailed it. Good job. Thank you, Faith.
You're welcome.
There it is. All tucked in with the rest of the protein out here. Pork, chicken, goat, pears, I think. Lots of protein out here. We're going to be adding a lot more venison out here as well. And don't forget the maple syrup. The lighting out here is awful. Sorry about that. All right. Thanks a lot, guys. Thanks for hanging out for the video. We'll talk to you guys later.